crying black girl begged, "Save my mom." Billionaire followed her into an alley. Everything changed. The rain poured down in relentless sheets over downtown Chicago, turning the late autumn evening into a cold, gray blur. Michigan Avenue's holiday lights shimmered through the water on the windshield of a sleek black Maybach idling outside the flagship store of Harrington Luxe, the high-end jewelry brand owned by billionaire Elias Harrington. Inside the warmly lit store, Elias was wrapping up a private viewing for VIP clients. At 52, he was tall, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit, with salt and pepper hair and the kind of quiet authority that made people listen when he spoke. He had built his fortune designing timeless pieces worn by royalty and celebrities alike, but tonight he was tired, another long day of meetings, another gala to attend later. He just wanted to get home. As his driver held an umbrella and Elias stepped toward the car, a small figure darted out from the shadows of the sidewalk. A black girl, no older than 10, soaked to the bone in a thin hoodie 2 sizes too big, tears streaming down her face, grabbed the sleeve of his coat. "Please, mister. Please help. Save my mom," she sobbed, her voice breaking over the sound of the rain. "She's hurt bad. She can't breathe right. Please come." Elias froze. Shoppers hurried past under umbrellas, pretending not to notice. His security detail moved forward instinctively, but he raised a hand to stop them. The child's eyes, wide, desperate, pleading, locked onto his. "Where is she?" he asked, surprising even himself. The girl pointed toward a narrow alley 2 blocks down, away from the bright lights of the Magnificent Mile. "This way, hurry." Every rational part of Elias screamed that this was reckless. He was a public figure, strangers approached him daily with requests. But something in the raw fear on her face, in the way her small hand tugged at him, overrode caution. He nodded to his driver. "Call 911. Tell them we're heading into the alley off Pearson, possible medical emergency." Then, umbrella abandoned, he followed the crying girl into the darkness. The alley smelled of damp cardboard and garbage. Halfway down, under the faint glow of a flickering exit sign, a woman lay crumpled against the brick wall on a pile of flattened boxes that served as shelter. She was in her late 30s, thin, wearing a worn winter coat. Her breathing came in shallow, wheezing gasps, her dark skin ashen in the dim light. "Mom, I brought help," the girl cried, dropping to her knees beside her. Elias knelt too, rain soaking his expensive suit. He wasn't a doctor, but he recognized the signs: severe asthma attack, maybe triggered by the cold and damp. The woman's lips were turning blue. He pulled out his phone, flashlight on, and spoke calmly into the speaker. "Ambulance ETA." 7 minutes, sir," his driver replied. 7 minutes could be too long. The little girl, her name was Cameron, she managed to say between sobs, clutched her mother's hand. "She forgot her inhaler at the shelter. We got turned away tonight, too full." Elias looked around. No inhaler, no help nearby. He made a decision. "Cameron, listen to me," he said gently but firmly. "I need you to stay right here with your mom. Keep talking to her. I'm going to get something that can help." He sprinted back toward the street, dialing his assistant as he ran. "Get me an albuterol inhaler, now. There's a 24-hour pharmacy on Chicago Avenue. Buy every rescue inhaler they have. Meet me at Pearson Alley in 4 minutes." Money talked. 3.5 minutes later, his assistant arrived breathless, handing over a small pharmacy bag. Elias grabbed one inhaler and raced back. He knelt again, carefully helping the woman. Her name was Lena. "Sit up slightly. Ma'am, can you try to breathe in when I press this?" He shook the inhaler, removed the cap, and administered 2 puffs as best he could, the way he'd seen it done years ago for a colleague. Slowly, agonizingly, Lena's breathing eased. Color returned to her lips. Her eyes fluttered open, confused but alive. Cameron threw her arms around her mother, crying harder now from relief. Sirens approached. Paramedics took over, stabilizing Lena and loading her onto a stretcher. Cameron climbed into the ambulance beside her. Before the doors closed, the girl looked back at Elias, standing drenched in the alley. "Thank you, mister," she whispered. He simply nodded, too overwhelmed to speak. But the story didn't end there. In the days that followed, Elias couldn't shake the image of mother and daughter in that alley. He learned from hospital social workers that Lena was a laid-off nurse's aide, struggling to raise Cameron alone after escaping an abusive relationship. They'd been homeless for 3 months. On Christmas Eve, Elias returned to the hospital, not with cameras or fanfare, but quietly. He found Lena recovering in a private room he'd anonymously paid to upgrade. Cameron sat beside her, coloring a picture. When they saw him, both froze. "I wanted to see how you're doing," Elias said softly. Lena's eyes filled with tears. "You saved my life. I don't even know your name." "Elias," he replied, "and you gave me something far greater than I gave you." He sat with them for an hour, listening to their story. Then he made a promise. Over the next year, everything changed. Lena received specialized training and a job at one of the city's best hospitals, arranged through a new foundation Elias quietly established for single parents re-entering the workforce. They moved into a safe, warm apartment in a good neighborhood. Cameron enrolled in a top elementary school with after-school art programs, because Elias had noticed her drawings and seen real talent. But the biggest twist came months later, at the foundation's first annual holiday dinner. Elias stood to speak, voice thick with emotion. He told the gathered families about a rainy night in an alley, about a brave little girl who refused to let her mother go. Then he called Cameron to the stage. She walked up shyly, now healthy and confident in a pretty red dress. "Cameron," Elias said, kneeling to her level so they were eye to eye, "there's something I need to tell you." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn photograph, an old picture of a young boy standing beside a nurse in scrubs. "This is me, 35 years ago," he explained. "That nurse saved my life when I was sick as a child. Her name was Grace Thompson. She was black, kind, and the strongest person I ever met. She worked 3 jobs to put herself through school, and she never turned anyone away." Cameron's eyes widened. "Grace was my guardian angel," Elias continued. "And she passed away before I could ever thank her properly. When you ran to me that night, begging me to save your mom, you looked just like the little girl in stories she used to tell me about, her own daughter she lost touch with years ago." Lena gasped. Elias looked at her, tears in his eyes. "Lena Thompson. Grace was your mother. And Cameron, you're her granddaughter. The family I never knew I had." The room fell silent, then erupted in applause and tears. In one rainy moment of desperation, a billionaire had followed a crying child into an alley, and found not just people to help, but the missing piece of his own heart. From that night forward, Elias, Lena, and Cameron built a new family together, proving that kindness doesn't just change lives, it connects them in ways no one could ever predict. And every holiday season, they returned to that alley, not to remember pain, but to leave warm coats, hot meals, and hope for anyone still waiting in the shadows. Because sometimes, the person you save turns out to be the one who saves you right back.